during debug, right? So you have a line of
Okay.
code you want to stop at, right? That's why
Uh-huh.
it's called a breakpoint. You want to stop
Okay.
at this point in the code, you put a breakpoint, and you just do this, make that turn red, and that becomes a breakpoint, right?
Oh, okay. I see.
So this is the opposite of where it generally where it generally is, right? Generally, you have your super, and then you have your set content view. I switched them around. I'm anticipating this is going to fail, but I don't know. So let's see what happens. Nope, it stepped and did whatever that's supposed to do. And now I'm going to step into the onCreate, and you'll see that it's going to execute everything that onCreate does. And then this is kind of funny because onCreate actually comes from something else that was extended. You see that? The super for app
Oh,
compat activity is calling a super from somewhere else.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a very long chain of things there.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's not get that tripped up. But that also shows you that, you can, these things layer and layer and layer. So.
Okay, Shelley, just out of curiosity, what happens, can you go back to the original, your source code that you created?
Yep. Here we go.
I don't see it yet.
No? Am
There
I
it is,
not?
yeah. Can you comment out the super uncreate? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, sure. So let me stop this. And let's just comment this. Oh, sorry, wrong key. And run it again. Sorry, I have the run buttons hide. Okay, there we go.
It's so fun.
So that's it. It's not going to compile if you don't overwrite.
You don't override it at all, right? I remember something like that.
Yeah, but you can do it out of order.
okay, cool.
Kind of off topic, but not really when it comes to debugging. I ran into something the other day that I don't know if it's going to do it in Android Studio and in Java, but I can tell you in IntelliJ and in another language, and since Android Studio is based on IntelliJ, I ran into this situation where every time I tried to do a debug session, what would happen was, Shelley, you see how on Shelley's screen we're on main activity Java, right? What this would do is it would create a lib/mainactivity.java where that one is. It would pop open a new mainactivity.java tab all the way on the right. And in that new one is what it would be showing. All of your custom colors, like on her screen, would be gone. You would just have your keywords like import and package in blue, and you would not see any breakpoint. And it just kept opening that new tab. You kill the new tab, and then you step over, and wham, it's right back in your face. And we could not figure it out until one gentleman in Austria pointed out that it's apparently not an intended thing. It's just like a side symptom. But if you have a bad import, that's what it does in certain situations. So if you have that suddenly happening and you can't figure out what on earth is going on, it could be a bad import.
That's interesting. I've never experienced that. It's not sounding familiar.
Yeah, it didn't sound familiar to a whole lot of people, but one guy in Austria happened to notice it.
For me, when I have imported a few of the projects and they weren't functioning correctly, like when I try to go into Android, everything would, the Android view, all the folders would be like just full, like every word would be its own folder and it would be real weird. And I realized that I think I was clicking on at the app folder, not opening it, but clicking on it, then clicking import, and it was importing it weird. I had to like import the top level without clicking on anything. I don't know if anyone's run into that, but I ran into that a couple of times, and I'm using a Mac, so I don't know if that
I'm not
makes
sure
a
I
difference,
understand what
but
you just said. What happened here?
Yeah. I understand what he's saying. So sometimes when you import a project, it doesn't do that initial build. So it doesn't recognize itself as a Gradle project.
Right,
and what
right,
you
right.
end up seeing is just the folder structure of the directory where the project
Right.
is.
And
You
what did
can-
you
And
do
then
to fix that?
Gradle's all screwed up, and even if you
Yeah, you can just what I do is I go do build like Android build dependencies, so it goes and runs just a dependency build and it straightens itself. So
Okay, all right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've
Shirley,
noticed.
that's
Just
something you
don't
showed
click
me,
on
right?
anything and it
yes,
works.
that's exactly what I showed you.
You might want to show him because I never would have found that without you.
Okay, so
Can you make the symptom happen? That's my question.
probably. Let's see.
Yeah, I can tell you how to make the symptom happen.
Let's see. Hold on.
Let me. I'll start while you're doing that. I'm gonna start importing a project, and
So it
Okay.
happens every time for you, Ryan?
yeah, I can reproduce it.
It's pretty consistent with the for me at least with the lesson projects.
Yeah, so when
I'm
you
not
open,
experiencing it with most of the lesson projects.
like for instance, you open the top folder for the exercise, so like T06.01 exercise dash setup or whatever. You have all those folders. You have app, build, and then you have Gradle and all the dependency files or whatever. And if I leave things as they are, I don't click on like any folder and I just click open, it works. But if I actually click and highlight app and then open the project, that'll do it. Like just clicking on another folder and then clicking open, I would think you're not opening the folder, so I would think it would import it the same way, but
Let me see if this works. So can you guys see my screen?
I can?
yep.
Okay. So this is what I generally do, 'cause this is what I generally do with IntelliJ at work with Java projects. I won't go down in here and click app or anything. I'll just click this, right?
Yep.
That's what I do.
That's what I do too.
So when it comes up, let's see. Have you guys noticed a difference from when you open a project from this screen as opposed to when you open a project and you like already have a project open?
I've noticed a difference from when I open a project from this screen versus go to Finder or Explorer and right-click the project and then they open in Android Studio.
There's a difference there too. Now, see, this is actually doing the build, whereas let's see if it actually did the build. Okay, so no. Did it do the build? Yeah, it actually did the build. So what I generally do though is I'll go open and then go in from here in this window. Yes.
Now, while we're waiting, one interesting quick little point. I noticed on your emulator, you've got a bunch of the projects on it still installed. And I don't know how I happened to run across this, but I left a bunch of stuff on mine too when I first started. And I started getting out of memory errors, which really had me scratching my head because I'm like, I've got 16 gig on this machine. How is this stupid thing out of memory?
So the emulator
It's an emulator setting, yeah. The one that really drives me crazy is when it asks me if I want to format the SD card on the emulator.
I've gotten that on my phones, but not on the emulators.
Got it on the emulator.
I didn't even open that project. Oh, I know why, because I told it to stop the build. Hold on, let's see if we can get that going again. Be quiet, dog. Please be quiet. Shh.
Should I bring my cat over to the screen here?
He loves cats, so it won't matter.
I was gonna say my cat actually opens doors and I have it locked, but
Yeah, it's not doing
trying
it.
to open the doors. I hear the doorknob.
That is so weird. It's not doing it now. But if you come across that issue, this is where, oh yes, it has. So you notice how it doesn't see the Gradle project yet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What I do and it still hasn't, although it says it built it, still hasn't seen this Gradle project. What I end up doing is I go here and refresh this first, and if I still have dependency issues, I'll go here and do Android dependencies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just double click on Android dependencies and it does its thing.
And it'll run it. It'll run it. Yes. Now, after you do that, you need to change your run configuration back to app. See how it adds a new run configuration just for Android dependencies?
That's a drop down right next to the build icon there.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. The first time she had me do this, I think I beat my head on it for 45 minutes. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't run. And it turned out I didn't change the configuration.
And I didn't think to tell them either, so it's my bad. I was like, oh yeah.
For her entertainment. She was just messing with me, that's all.
So change this back and then you can run. But yeah.
Okay. Good.
Wondering why it won't. Let's see if it'll do it. If we do that, do it the other way. So it does look like I haven't done any of these lessons. I have, but I've switched computers multiple times during this.
See, like, yeah, I would click on app like that. I wouldn't open it, but I would just highlight it or click on and click OK, and then it just wouldn't recognize the Gradle, or it wouldn't recognize that it's an Android project.
So did you get this pop-up right here?
I think so, and then I would click OK.
Okay.
And it would try to do something, but it didn't. For whatever reason, whatever I was doing, it wasn't fully working. Yeah, there you go.
Now we got something.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of somethings right here.
Yeah, this is exactly what would happen to me.
Let's
and I was
see
just clicking like you would think if you're not opening the folder.
Now I had this issue earlier. This is a different issue than what I'm used to seeing. I had this issue earlier. You have to go.
That's what I would get right there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I just had this issue earlier. You have to go. Do you have to do an Android SDK thing and update it here? Is that what you did? No.
Oh, well, what I'm interested to know how to fix it, but I just would open it in the proper level.
Okay, so module settings.
I did like see that error, so I tried to go in the file and see if it was pointing at the wrong SDK location, but it wasn't in the file.
But it is, because if you look here, there's no SDK, right?
Oh, so in the project
I can show you. Yeah, I can show you how I got there. I'll show you how I got here. So when you on app, if you right click app and go to module settings, then it'll come up to this the project structure. If you click on project, you'll see the project SDK.
Okay. I was looking in the Android manifest, one of those files wherever it stores the SDK URL, and I was thinking maybe the URL wasn't set.
Yeah, no,
That's why. Okay, good to know.
Shelly, is this your new one? Your new Surface Pro?
Oh, I think she just answered a phone call.
Oh.
No, we lost Shelly.
So I kind of have another question. It may be related to this. When I'm opening class projects, I noticed that I guess some of the can't think of the term, but like I guess maybe some of the imports aren't working because some of the, like it says certain variables are undefined and things like that. Is this kind of related to that?
No, that was something completely different. So that still didn't fix it. I set an SDK and it still did not fix that Gradle issue. Like it still doesn't see.
And just while you're doing this, Shelly, is this your new one?
My new what? Yeah, my new service? Yeah.
Okay, do you see all the kind of goofy little graphics things? Because
No.
it's not your screen.
No.
I've moved my screen around and it keeps whatever it is looks like it's on your screen because it moves.
Yeah, that may be something to do with the resolution of my screen compared to yours. Yeah. Let's see. No, all this looks good.
See, I think that's where I was looking, like where it has those directories set.
Now I'm looking at it because it says no SDK location found with SDR in the local. Okay, so, okay.
I think I went into, yeah.
Well, that's where it's pointing to. Or with the Android home in.
I'm just wondering, could this all be a consequence of opening it by highlighting app instead of highlighting?
Yeah, it is.
It definitely
is.
Yeah.
But I was hoping there's a way to like get around it. If you did that by accident, is there a way to fix it? But we like it. So as a doctor would say, don't do that.
Yeah. I found that out after about 10 minutes of just accepting the fact I couldn't build it. I'm finally like, I'm just going to reopen it and experiment a little, and I figured it out. So
I think, let's go back to that, because I think you're missing a lot of what you're missing everything else that you get when you actually open the project and not the module.
So it's equivalent to actually opening app and just importing what's in the app folder. And
right, and all of this gets added when you open app. Whereas if you open the project, you get all the rest of the goodness for the project. Yeah, you get
that makes sense.
This stuff here, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. So back to the quintessential doctor answer. Don't do that.
Sounds good.
There we go. So now you have two Gradle files. You notice that you have a project Gradle and a module Gradle.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
What else should we talk about? Anything else we got here?
I still have a lot of questions. I don't know how much time you have, but
I'm doing okay.
One question not for this session, but Barry, if you can arrange something, I would love to get an Android expert's opinion on native applications versus applications built in Ionic or Flutter or another one of the frameworks that offer cross-platform development.
Native versus hybrid. Yeah. Okay.
Not only hybrid, but also progressive web apps.
Okay.
Well, Flutter might not be a good example because it does compile to native. It does not use a VM. So
I think it's part of that discussion, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that for that you need to collect more than one person, because everybody's got an opinion, and so that's more like a debate or a panel discussion.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Somebody else had some other questions. I can keep going for a little while.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys talked about, let me think here. I had a list that Barry, you and I went over not too long ago, and some of them were a little more involved, I guess. Just see if I can grab that list real quick.
And just while you're getting that together, I may be going here shortly, but one point about the web meeting study hall, please don't wait for me to open it. Anybody can open it. All you have to do is join on that number and it will automatically open if you're the first one there. If you don't see anybody else, don't just leave, really, because there are people popping in and out all day and they're all looking for each other. And it's kind of strange. If I'm AFK, I'll see people pop in and disappear in 30 seconds. And 5 minutes later, somebody else do the same thing. And if somebody would have just stayed. But yeah, I've got things that they've got me up to here almost to the point where I can't breathe right now. So
Flutter, right?
Well, Flutter and the house, and I'm going for an MRI on the wrist. I'm still on workman's comp. So they re-up that. It's indefinite right now, depending on what they find with the MRI. So
sorry to hear that.
It's a one tendon in my wrist that's being interesting.
Risks are no fun.
Yep.
I
At least it
I
doesn't
got an
keep you from typing.
injury and got a cyst at one point in my wrist, and it finally went away. But yeah, I thought I was gonna have to have surgery a while back.
Ouch. All right, I'm going to have to run right now, but
Okay.
thank you so much, and I will definitely catch the recording later.
Excellent. Okay. Have a good day then. Ryan, you
Is
have a few questions?
Yeah, so a little more on polymorphism. So we talked about method overriding. I know there's also method overloading, and I don't know too much about that. I just know that that concept exists. Can
I
you?
need to get out my writing equipment here. Shelley, do I need to? Let me just see. Okay, so I'm going to do a share screen, and Shelley, that will override yours. Okay. I have a question here. When will the where will the recording be available? I'll post that information on Slack, and I'll also put it on the spreadsheet that I've got going. It's going to be on YouTube, but I don't have a URL yet. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to do share screen. Let's stop the other screen sharing. Yes, continue. Come on. And I'm going to go to my present.